Hello, my name is Justin Pomia. This is my assessment description assignment for EDU 522. What is my agenda today? Quick introduction about myself. Um, Justin Pomia, once again. I currently teach at Elsinore Middle School. I've been teaching for about 9 years now. I've taught in the high desert, taught almost exclusively in California, and I'm originally from Michigan. The purpose of this presentation is to convince my colleagues, maybe persuade them that the best um, curriculum design model category is the process model. And what I'll do today is I'll compare the product model to the process model, and I'll explain why our school should incorporate the process model over the product model. Before we do that, though, I just want people to understand what the current state of uh, Lake Elsinore Middle School is, at least for my grade, seventh grade. Um, Currently, my students, when I test them on reading tests or reading assessments, like the STAR reading assessment, they're coming in usually on average at about third grade level. I've had some people not score any reading levels at all, meaning they don't have the ability to read. I've had a lot of kids in kindergarten, some in first, second, third. On the flip side of it, I've had some students be as high as 12th grade, even college level reading. These are lifelong readers, but primarily our students' reading levels are quite low. And as a result, I've noticed a correlation that their writing is also low, especially when it comes to expository writing. We have to do, a lot of reading for that. Anytime you're doing informative or you're doing any sort of research-based or argumentative essays, expository, you need to do some research. You need to read things. And our students' ability to read is low because of this. It reflects in their papers. They have a hard time gathering and absorbing information and then transferring that to an essay. Um, our students aren't quite self-sufficient learners yet. A few of them may be, but I think this is a key ability for high school and college. And we have a large student population who are ELD, OLL. We're close. Um, we are on the southern border here in California. We have a lot of people coming over, a lot of newcomers. Just the last year, I had two students come from Guatemala. Neither spoke English. Neither had actually ever been to school. We found that out too, and they were 12. So these are sort of the things that Lake Elsinore has to deal with in the current climate in our country and in the state of California. And we manage with it. We do well with it. But just wanted to throw that out there, make sure people understand as I show you my presentation and my argument as to what curriculum design we should be going with, that what this has all been factored into that. Let's talk about the product model versus the process model for curriculum design. Curriculum falls into two categories: the product model and the process model. The product model is much more worried about the end results. They like things being a little bit more measured. Um, where I feel like the product model is probably more oriented towards students who already have a strong prior background knowledge and they're just continuously building off of what they learned prior to that. I think the process category is much wider. Um, and it is concerned with people with how learning develops over time. And I think it creates lifelong learners for students who are not there yet. I think if a student is already sort of in that lifelong learning mode, I know my son is, um, then the product model would be much better, I think. But here we're aiming to create students who can be self-sufficient. And I think when it comes to Elsinore Middle School, I think the process model is much better. Um, and this is why the product model won't work for our students. Our students don't have the prior knowledge, as I mentioned earlier, that it would take to be successful in a product model curriculum. Um, I I think at our school, teachers, we don't have enough time and resources to sort of get everyone kind of balanced. and to fill in those gaps for the amount of students who have the learning loss. Now, if we just had like two or three students that were behind, maybe 5 out of 32, that would be different. Then I think the product model would be more efficient for what we're doing. But right now, I think in my classroom, the product model would only work for about 5 or 7 students, and I don't really, the rest of the 25 would kind of be left behind. Um, and with our students being all over like I said, our students aren't really all in the same place right now. There's a lot of variance in their levels. So I think it has to have a more individualized approach. Just want to go over real quickly the process curriculum model components. It The process model prioritizes active learning, discussion among peers, individual students. It's worried about diagnosing the needs. So, I brought up the STAR reading test earlier. We diagnose that we're low in reading. We do pre-writing assignments. We diagnose that they're low in writing. We like to you have to formulate objectives. What it is you want them to accomplish. One of the objectives we're going to have for this upcoming school year is our students will end up writing about 6 essays total. I was trying to push it to 9, but some of my colleagues thought that was a little bit ambitious. So we're going to be doing 6 this year. Um, the content is kind of selected for us, but there we do get to have some autonomy in picking, and then organizing learning experiences. Um, we use different databases for that, different programs. Canvas is the big one that we're using right now. Um, and then we finally, established, did they accomplish the goals they were set? And I did that last year towards the end of the year. So I've kind of already been working the process model, and how the process model would apply to our curriculum at EMS. I mean, the process model will condition our students to become lifelong learners. I keep bringing that up, and self learners, and be able to self teach. Um, I don't think I would have got through college without being able to be a self learner or being able to teach myself. So this is a very important skill to have for our students. This model will also support students with IEPs and pushing classes much better than a product model curriculum would. So just having inclusion classes, I'm already sort of tailor made or kind of pushed to be more of a process model curriculum. Um, and then students will get much more one-on-one support with this. And I know there would be much more collaboration, and I do understand that this is not an easy thing to accomplish. It does require a lot of work. And, I would encourage schools that want to incorporate this design to try to do a co-teacher method. I think it does take a couple teachers in a classroom to kind of make this be the most optimal as it can possibly be. I think the best. I think that subject-centered learning would work in this curriculum. Would work with the process model, and I've mentioned in some earlier work I've done that I think I think the learner-centered curriculum design sort of feeds into that subject-centered. Okay, so much like the process model, as far as like what theory does fit best with this, it is the learner-centered curriculum design. I think is the best fit for this design, for the process design. Much like the process model, it revolves around what the students need. Because of the amount of differentiated instructional plans needed, this helps support the need for group work. And much like the process model, um, Learner Center has activities that are timely and relevant. Um, so, for this model, you do need to be moving around the classroom a lot. You need to be doing a lot of check-ins, a lot of conferencing. And why this why this works over subject centered is subjects worried about you trying to accomplish all like the standards and benchmarks of my this is my opinion. I think that's what its goal is. My goal in my classroom is just to make people lifelong learners. And we go slow. And this gives me time to move around and close those gaps that they've been missing. And um, we increased several grade levels. I had multiple students last year increase 3 grade levels in reading just by using the process model. So I would encourage our school, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you know, There are a lot of great approaches. The product model is great, but that's really more along the lines for a school that is extremely developed, has a lot of parent support, has a lot more resources, which I just don't think EMS quite has yet. But that's the direction we're headed. Thank you for listening to this presentation. Um, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Thank you.